Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terri and Amanda, where you'll hear spiritual perspectives, weird mediumship experiences, and try intuitive and trust-building exercises for yourself. Join us every Friday. Like and subscribe to never miss a show, and let's get started.
Welcome and happy Friday. Today, we will be talking about the clairsentience and the claircognizance, and we were going to do a couple of exercises to strengthen those abilities. Amanda?
Yep. So
Is
we're
that
going
what
to
we're
talk.
doing?
It's like it's our first time not filming together, being in different locations, so it's a little bit different for us.
Yeah, have patience.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're talking about the clairsentience, which is the feeling, and the claircognizance, which is knowing a little bit more in depth. We did go over them briefly before, but today we'll have an exercise and just some more things to talk about with those, because Terri's specialty is being a feeler, which is the clairsentience. So she knows really in depth about that personally and how she connects with people.
Yeah, I think that actually goes hand in hand with being empathic as well, because you feel all the energy. So I really think that that's probably why I'm such a feeler. You were talking about something about how we word things to kind of figure out, like you always go, I see.
Yeah, I do. And I didn't think I was like a seeing person. I never thought about it. And then I've noticed how much, even in text message, people send me something and I say, oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. And I'm just
Mhm.
noticing that more and more, that I'm a lot more visual of a person than I really realized.
Yes, I
And yeah,
believe that
so
because you would see things behind me or you'll say something.
again, it's very easy for me to visualize. And I do see things quite often. And it was funny because I had an itch. I really thought that I was more of a feeler than a seer, but as it turns out, the older I get, I feel like I'm way more of a seer than a feeler. But some things like clairsentience, the feeling, people will say you can identify yourself and your friends because they'll say, I feel like, or I
Mhm,
know, or I
mhm.
see. And that's kind of how your secret way of knowing what Claire your friends probably are, even if
Right.
they don't realize it.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm. And
Okay.
feeling as well, if people, you might be that if people have told you that you're very sensitive, you're overly sensitive, um, or if you need to spend a lot of time alone to kind of recharge your batteries and just get away from the crowd.
Right.
That's a way of knowing that you're probably very sensitive too.
Right. I actually have to say that that really still sticks right in there with that empathic stuff. It opened up a lot of doors to make me understand a little bit more. They kind of go hand in hand, you know, but so
Mhm.
does the feeling and the knowing. To me is just knowing. Like if, example, I was driving down the road, husband was behind me, about 2 or 3 cars, and out of nowhere, between my gut or just knowing, I needed to turn. There was
Mm.
2 ways to my house. This I always go the long way, and then turn. I just turned. There was nobody there, so I just turned. And then a few minutes later, like 5 minutes later, he's calling me going, "Where did you go?" And I said, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I just turned." Well, he was stuck in a backup of a log that had turned over 3 cars ahead of him. So
Wow.
maybe I kind of diverted it, just knowing the gut knowing of don't walk into the store, or yeah, this isn't going to go good. Some people might have butterflies that give them
Mm.
their little psychic sense that says, no, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah. So the clear feeling really goes hand in hand with listening to your gut feeling, whether
Yes.
that is like a dropping feeling, a
Mhm.
butterfly feeling, whatever it is, but just that like, whoa, like
Mhm.
my body feels this way. And that is
Right.
also like the inner knowing.
Right.
Um,
So I would say that the clair feeling of wanting to turn, but the knowing would be that I knew I better turn.
I
So they
see.
kind of go together.
Yep.
I think intuition falls right into that too, because it's all in
Mhm.
the gut. It's all that's a solar plex thing, right? Which we haven't covered that yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, we haven't gone down that road yet.
No, we haven't talked about that yet.
Okay,
But
perfect.
we got smart peeps watching, they know. And
Right?
if they don't, they will know.
Sure.
Um, yeah, so it's really interesting. Just you probably have some of these clairs working for you and you just don't realize it, or just following your gut is following your intuition. We just don't always think about it like that. It's like, oh, thank goodness I did that.
Right.
Um, let's see.
A long time ago, I'm going to share it really quick. I had a
Yeah.
long time ago when I was an ombudsman for my husband's command in the military. There used to be a girl, a lady, and she was a friend of mine. She used to call me her magical friends. Maybe we talked about it but before, but that
Mhm,
was the thing. She goes, you just always know things. How do you always know
mhm.
things? So back in the day, we'll call it magical. But now, if you stop and think about the story with her, she just says, you just know things,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
things that you shouldn't know. That's just one little blip right there that some other people
Yeah.
might pick up on it and they just think, wow, what is she doing?
Yeah.
You
What
know?
do you think about things like, I just don't know how this falls in. So, for example, I have a dream that, say, when I was a kid, I had a dream that my turtle died. I woke up,
Okay.
my parents were in my room. They looked at me and I said, my turtle died, right? That's why you're here. And they were like, yeah. So it's not like regular intuition. It's not like a
No,
gut feeling.
nope, it's neither. It's called precognition.
Oh, okay. Through dreaming.
It's precog. Yeah, true dreaming.
Gotcha.
So you dreamt it and then it happened. So I would
Yeah.
not say that's a knowing. Maybe somebody, other teachers out there, but I don't consider myself a teacher. When I talk with you and we do this, I just go from my own experiences on my level, you know, on what I know. Knowing. See how I know? Cracking
Well, that's
myself
okay.
up.
Even if you don't think of yourself as a teacher, people, just talking and telling stories, people still pick up information. So
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
still
Yeah.
still teaching. But
Hmm.
yeah, my grandma passed away a few years ago, and I had a dream probably 3, 4 months before that we were at her funeral and that she was there watching, and she was like, okay, guys, I don't know if this is the way I would do it or whatever. And she was sitting there with us. And anyways, I was just like, oh, we didn't think that much of it. I still don't know if that was necessarily a precog dream because there was so much space between, but it was within the same year, within
Yeah.
3 to 6 months of her passing.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I have lots of weird dreams. And
Yeah. I just think everyone should write down their dreams, you
oh
know?
man, I used to keep a dream journal. It is insane. I highly suggest people do that. And it's like your mind or your higher self, or I don't know, your
Mhm.
spirit friends, they
Yep.
know when you're paying attention. They know when you're writing it down, because then it's like the messages and the stuff just comes just
Hmm.
so not coincidentally, but there's just so much information there once you start paying attention and writing it down. Have you done that much?
Yeah. But not when I write down, but the signs will keep coming and keep coming. Like I'll keep
Mhm,
seeing something. And
mhm.
I don't know how that is going with our clear knowing or feeling, but it's just
That's
we
okay.
kind of went off on the precog, but that's where it goes, right? Hello, this is Terry.
Gotcha.
You speak Terry Ease.
All right, let's get back on track. So, we want to talk about a way that you can practice your feeling and knowing.
Mhm.
And Terry has a way to practice this that she does already all the time.
Yeah, I've done it for a long time, not even thinking that before, knowing that I was a medium, but just like a game of I have a deck of cards. It's in every car. So when we drive down the road, if it's a long drive, then I'm driving. I'm not looking at the cards. People, do not do this when you're driving except to feel and give your person the answer. I wouldn't be holding the deck of cards in my hand. So you take a card and you just kind of feel until you get the right answers. So if I was to hold up this card, Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
you would try to figure out, is it black or is it red?
Gotcha. And I just want to point out that when I was growing up, my mom had us practice with cards, but we did it where we tried to literally feel it with our hands. So, like,
Mm.
I don't got any cards in front of me, but if this was the card, my
Mm-hmm.
mom would say, put your hand above it, not touching
Mm-hmm.
it, but above it, and then feel it. If it's black, it'll be cold. And if it's red, it'll be warm. So we would close our eyes and we would just put our hands
Mm-hmm.
across each of the cards and try and guess by feeling them that way.
Right.
So I did practice that, but gosh, I haven't done it in a long time. So we can do an example right now, and people at home can try and guess along with me since I can't see the cards. And if
Okay.
anybody is listening, just Terry will say when she puts the card up, just get quiet for a minute, close your eyes, not if you're driving, whatever you got to do, and try and guess by
Yeah.
feeling or knowing what the card is.
I'm just focusing on the road. And so that's like another distraction for me, which is a
Mm,
good one. You want to focus on the road,
yeah.
but I have a card up now, and I would say focus on the card. And what color do you think it is?
I'm gonna guess red.
And it's black.
Dang it.
Okay, but that's fine. But you don't know what that feeling is when you get it right. Where did you feel it at? Did you feel it in your third eye? Did you just know? Did your heart palpitate because it's red?
Mhm.
Did you vibrate? Here is your second card.
Are you waiting for me?
Oh, I am.
Okay, anybody who's listening, Terry still has a card up. Do your guess. I'm gonna guess that it's black.
Very good. Now,
Okay.
where did you feel that? So that was right. Here is your last card. I'm only going to do three today. I am now holding up your third card, Amanda. Play the game.
I can't see it. Not that that matters, but it might matter to somebody.
Okay, there you go.
All right, there's the card. Red.
Very good. It
Yay.
is. So, how did you feel that? How did you know? You got the last two right. They were random. So, did you feel something different? Did it come in a different place? Did your ears make a noise? What happened?
For me, the color just pops in my head. So for me, that was a bad activity for practicing feeling. But when I have the card in person, I feel like I would be able to practice feeling it better, because I would do it like the way I did when I was a kid, right? I'd put my hand on it and see if I
Mhm.
could feel a warmer or cooler or an expansive feeling or like a opposite of that, right?
Or a vibration or a tingling?
Yeah, anything. I mean, it's totally different for everybody. And
Yeah.
you guys feel free to comment on how you did, if you got them
Yes.
right, or if you felt anything, or if you've used this practice before.
Yeah, or maybe they have another little thought process there.
Mhm.
But thanks for playing that one. But we do that with the kids. It's a red black game. And you can end up getting half the deck, almost the whole deck. And if you want to expand it, you can say, well, let's forget if it's red or black. Let's go what the shape is. That's kind of like those, what are the ESP cards? What are those
Oh,
called? What are
what
those
are
called?
ESP cards?
They have the wavy lines in the triangle, and I'm not thinking you'll have to, I'll
Oh,
find
it's
it,
like
then
that
you'll write
certain
it down.
test.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know
So
the
you're
name.
just looking for shapes. They're looking for shapes on that wiggly
Yeah.
line, circle, square, whatever. I don't know. they played it on that Ghostbuster movie.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you can make your own. You can make your own with your own
Totally.
shapes, right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
also there's like the face cards and numbers. So you
Mhm.
could take this game to a whole nother level beyond just color.
Right.
Yeah, it could be shapes or numbers, anything.
I like to practice with this. Sounds funny, but I used to do it all the time. And then I did a class with somebody and they did it. And I thought that was funny how they brought my childhood back to me. But you take that memory game the kids have, and it just has faces of cows, ducks, cars, whatever. And you want to match two, match two, match two.
Yeah.
You know that game, you put it all face down? That's
Mhm.
another one, and it's just like I get it when you turn one over, you gotta memorize where it's at, but how many of those could you do and get them spot on right? And as a child, I used to win that game a lot with my friends.
Oh,
My my
really?
grandma used to think I was cheating, but knowing now, I know we didn't know that. How did I
Right.
know? I was just playing a game.
Right. Yeah, I totally
Mhm,
remember that. You play
mhm,
that a lot as a kid.
mhm. I
And
also do dice. To roll the
mhm,
dice to see what will land on it. I'm gonna roll this one. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be this. I don't know. That
nice.
sounds stupid, but I look for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
red
why
light, the red
not?
light at the stop. Like,
Mhm.
is it? It's gonna turn green now.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, just play, just have fun, just play with yourself that way. I think that makes everything a little bit more exciting,
Right.
personally.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
there's some ways you can practice your claircognizance, which is the knowing as well. You can sleep with a question under your pillow
Mm,
and see if sometime the next day or maybe when you wake up, if you have any kind of just answer that or practicing automatic writing is a way that you can practice your knowing as well. And if you're not familiar with automatic writing, you just grab a pen and a piece of paper and you don't necessarily have anything in mind to write about. You just kind of let your hand do the walking and the pen will do the talking and just kind of see what comes out. Let yourself just be quiet and kind of meditate while you do it, and so that can be kind of fun. And as you're doing these activities, even if you don't get anything that you think is like amazing, just keep doing it because eventually you'll start having stuff come out that maybe you're not
right.
expecting, or maybe you wake up and you do have an answer on the 18th try.
Right. Right.
Who knows? It's just different for everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Practice, practice, practice. Like that's like
Mhm.
meditation. It's never been my forte to meditate, but the more I do it, then I see something and then I get addicted.
Yeah.
Oh, I only had 15 minutes, but I really need to go back. I need to go back.
Mhm.
So it feels good to know that you were right in that sense, or that you got
Yeah.
it correct and
Mhm.
that you're not crazy.
Yeah, and that you can trust yourself, and be
Mhm,
like, "Oh,
mhm,
okay. Maybe I do know a little something."
mhm, mhm. Right,
Yeah, so
right,
Terry, you are a feeler, like, that's your modality, you
right.
know?
Yeah.
And do you have any, story about feelings or anything?
Well, the one that I told you about turning and just having the feeling and the
Mm,
gut feeling of turning, that's it. Or, um,
mhm,
today I was in Walmart and doing a last minute couple of things. And something kept telling me to go down this one aisle, but I knew it wasn't the aisle I wanted to be on.
right.
And so I'm like, oh, please, I don't want to do this in the store. I just want to get in and get out. But I ended up going down that aisle, and there was only one person on the aisle just staring at the stuff that I needed. Right. Of course. So I just had a feeling, but I wanted to keep my mouth shut. It happened to be just about allergies and stuff like that.
Mhm,
But it was new to them and for their
mm,
family member. And
yeah,
I had walked that road. And so now I'm having this whole long conversation, which really wasn't psychic or mediumship. It was just like I had this knowledge to give them. And then because trial and error of what you eat, right? When you're allergic to something.
Yeah.
So that was knowing that I needed to go down that aisle. But sometimes I don't want to follow that knowing.
Yeah, like sometimes you're busy and you, like you
Mhm.
said, you want to get in or out. You don't necessarily
Mhm.
want to go off and do this other thing and talk to people. And plus, it's kind of like you don't always want to just approach people in the store and start talking to them.
Nope, I don't.
Do
No,
you think that when you get these feelings, like from spirit or wherever they come from, that they kind of pre-know if the person is going to be open to this information from you or not? Have you got it like both ways?
okay, so I'm trying to learn how to make this cartoon. I'm trying to figure out how to draw this cartoon because I have this vision of how I feel like it is for me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna go to the store. Example, I was going to pick up my husband from the airport, but his plane was delayed, so he missed the shuttle. So I was going to the
Mm.
shuttle. And I said, "Oh, that's perfect. I'm gonna go to Kohl's because it's
Mhm.
right there, right?"
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but I walked into Ross and the man says, "Welcome to Ross." And I'm like looking at him like he's stupid. And he looks at me, he says, "Are you okay, ma'am?" And I was like, "Well, I kind of was wanting to go to Kohl's." And he sarcastically goes, "Well, that's next door." Well, in my head, I'm thinking, why am I in Ross? I know I'm supposed to be in Kohl's, but it just took me off guard. And
Yeah.
so I'll just look around, but I'm not going to look through the whole store, right? So I just went to the easiest section next to me, which was holiday stuff or whatever. And sure
Mhm.
enough, one single woman was in there. And I talk a lot. And so I just was like, "Oh, that's really cool. What are you going to do with it?" And she's like, "Well, I'm using it in a services tomorrow."
Oh.
And in my head,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Of course you are." you know? So just randomly trying to listen to her story, try to help her along. And then I have to say, "I'm sorry, but this is what I do for a living. And there's something that I think you should know if you're eager to hear it." And so that's me being directed. So in my
Mhm.
cartoon mind, people are in heaven. They see me get in the car. I'm driving down the road and they're coming down the escalator yelling on a microphone, "She's going where my family is."
Oh my
That's
god.
that's how I envision it happening.
Yeah.
And, and seriously, my daughter herself has been approached in a grocery store by somebody saying that they knew um some information for her while she was checking them out. And she says, "No, none of that makes sense to me." And she got really mad. That was kind of like, "How dare you?" So but the lady
Mm.
didn't say, "I do this or I do that." She just started talking to my daughter. And my daughter's like, "Batshit crazy people." So I don't want to be one of those people.
Right.
Right.
As long as
So
you
I
ask
don't,
permission, then I think that's really nice. And then if they're like
right.
freaked out, they can be like, no, leave me alone.
Yes. And I think personally, if it's happened and that somehow, some way that person probably really needed it
Yeah.
and would never have seeked somebody out like me, or maybe
Mhm.
they would have went to somebody and had a bad experience because not there is a lot of people out there that aren't really doing the work is what I call it, right? And
Mhm.
that could hurt them. But in this instance, it was really, really, really cool that on how it
Yeah.
happened in the store. But the funniest part of that story is the next day, or no, the 2 days later, I get a message saying, "Oh, so now you're doing readings in Ross." And it was from somebody that my son knew, right? And I was like, "Oh God, what does that mean?"
Oh my
So
god.
how,
Did
and
he
that showed
see
me
you?
it was, she went to the services. And the
Oh.
lady that I ran into was talking about this, I don't know, angel lady or this lady that gave it, a good message to other people. And then she just said, "Well, is her name Terry?" And she says, "Oh, I think it is."
Oh my
So, but that
god,
was
that's
a small
hilarious.
world. That's a small world. But no, people shouldn't be running around doing that. But shouldn't be doing that, right?
Oh my
I just look
gosh.
at it like I don't do it all day long every day, and I'm learning how to just go in the store, go in the store, go in the store, go in the store. You know,
Yeah.
feeling. I used to not be able to go into certain stores
Mm.
in certain areas. And back in the day, I used to have one of my friends give her my grocery list and say, okay, well, I'll sit in the car and this is what I need, and here's the money, because I couldn't take all that I felt in that store.
Mm.
And so, but it's just in certain areas. It's just certain areas. That store is okay in certain
Yeah.
areas. It just felt more energy in them.
You know what that makes me think of?
No.
David gets extremely overwhelmed at the store. Extremely. Like he just can't be there. Like for he starts like shutting down almost. He's just like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. And so we'll just like phew, get out of the
Mhm.
store. And if I'm in a bad mood or like I'm off or something, he'll be like, is everything okay with you? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm totally fine. I'm lying, right? I'm fine. And he'll say, mm, I
Right?
don't think so. He must be some kind of
Empathic.
healer because
Yeah.
I don't do that at the store. Like I'm fine at the store. I'm like I like going grocery shopping, but he gets so overwhelmed. That's really interesting.
Mhm.
I never
I
never
would see if
connected
he
the
was
dots before.
empathic. I would see if he was empathic, and then, yeah, he should be listening to some of this.
Yeah, I mean, because he really like he picks up on my mood changes even before I realize if I something's going on with me. He'll ask me like, "Are you okay?"
So he feels it in his gut, or he feels something, or he's empathic. But hey, let's look at the baby, how the baby bubbles up, kind of like he's in a store, right?
When people are in his bubble or
Bubble.
near
Right.
him, yeah.
Right.
But at the store, he's okay. He likes to wave to people,
Oh,
but if you get near him, he doesn't
yeah.
like it,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. I
It's
don't
kind
know.
of, oh, maybe all kids should be able to do that. Right. I need some of that Noah bubble.
So now we're going to mention two weird clairs. We have Claire Gusto, which is clear tasting. And then we have Claire Tangents, which is touching,
Mhm.
which is also called psychometry.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
when I hear that, though, I think of like all the movies I've seen where somebody literally like touches a person or like
Mhm.
hugs them, and then they get like woo, 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 like all of their crazy memories. That'd be
Oh, like Whoopi Goldberg inside of Ghost, how she just jumps inside, like, you feel like someone's really touching you and taking over. No, not happening. Touching, I feel like it's someone touches your hair. Stroking, I used to feel that a lot, stroking. If I didn't feel well and I was laying down, I would almost think that someone was stroking my hair. Now, my grandma used to do that a lot when I didn't feel good younger. I'd lay on the couch or on the bed and she would just stroke my hair. And so that's what me personally feel like touching,
mm,
or my arm, or for some reason you're just like, oh, what was that? That's touching. In my experience, that's all I've had.
gotcha.
But Claire Gusto,
Claire Gusto is tasting.
tasting. Now that one I've had in a
Mm,
reading. We were talking about the mother's ailments or whatever was going on, because that's how I read. And all of a sudden, my mouth got really dry and thick, and my tongue was thick, and it was like I couldn't place it. Was it nutmeg? Was it cloves? And then I was like, no, it's cinnamon. And then I looked at her, and I'm seriously was acting like it was really happening to me. It wasn't just a taste and I could babble it. I was having the whole entire sensation of thickness.
oh
And I
gosh.
asked her, does cinnamon make sense with your mom? And she's like, or it was her grandma, I don't know. And
Mhm.
she's like, that's funny, because when she passed, I found 3 or 4 bottles of cinnamon in her closet. or in her cupboard
Mm,
or whatever. She says, and I kept one because they seemed to be very important to her, but I don't know what the reasoning was. Well, we were talking about her
mhm,
ailments and everything, and I was right. So when she left, I started to look up what it helps. Well,
mhm,
diabetes was the number one thing that she had, and it
mhm.
helps with that, right? Not
Yep.
to say that you need to go take cinnamon because you're diabetic. That's not the way it is. But you know what I mean? It just
Right.
people need to see the right people to get the right help. Naturopath, doctor, whatever, right?
Right. But that happened to be what she was taking, and she found bottles of it.
Her mom or grandma, yeah. And I thought that was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, that is so weird. I can't imagine.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was, because it was just such a sensation,
Mhm.
you know?
Gosh, this like makes me think that when I'm meditating or when I'm laying quietly in bed at night or something, to just say I'm open to all of the clairs,
Yeah,
and because sometimes I think that you have to ask or you have to give permission.
absolutely.
And so I'm kind of thinking I want to do that because yeah, I do see a lot and I do feel things. Obviously not as deeply. I think seeing is more my strong suit, but I'm open to all of them. I want everything.
Right. Well, hairdressers and massage therapists and maybe nurses and the counselors and stuff, they're really into people's bubbles. And
Yeah.
I've been a hairdresser for what, over 30 years. And that's where I felt the most, not knowing.
Mm,
Like I would feel sick all the time, but
mm,
that's feeling them, you know.
yeah,
Again, that's not intuition. I was feeling sick and it wasn't me, it
yeah.
was them, ripping off their eyebrow and they have a gut I feel like they're going to get sick or something. And then, and then I'm like,
What a
well,
funny picture to paint, ripping off their eyebrow.
well, you know what I mean when you're waxing. So when you're waxing an eyebrow, but they've never done it before, or it just hurts, or not really, I don't think it should hurt, but I'm just saying they might be sensitive. But one of them happened to be sensitive. And I says, "Are you okay? Do you feel okay?" She goes, "Oh, it just makes my stomach quease when you do that." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't have to finish." And she goes, "Oh yeah, you do." You do. But that's feeling. So I would feel that it bothered her. And to be honest, I do not like to have my eyebrows waxed. It gives me this ugly gut feeling. It
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. But doesn't mean that, but I do it. You have it done. It's just a matter of feeling someone's pain or someone's hurt or someone's sorrow
Yeah.
on top of being empathic. Yes.
Yeah, the only time I have ever felt someone else's pain physically in my body is when I was doing Reiki on someone who had an elbow injury. And literally, I felt the pain for a minute and I was like, holy moly, that hurts. But it
Hmm.
lasted only for a moment.
Yeah.
And that's a one and only time that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Recently, I had a reading where I felt like there was a digit missing, a digit on a
Mhm.
finger, and how I felt
Oh,
it was it felt like my finger wasn't there, like the whole numbness of the finger wasn't there, but they
yeah.
had lost it in a blade accident doing woodworking way back in many many moons ago. So yeah, that's feeling. That's feeling.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. I kind of felt it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that
Interesting.
it is my modality. It is. It is. And
Mhm.
and some people say, "So you actually feel it, feel it?" Yes, I actually feel it, feel it.
Yeah. I walked into your house with the baby and you said, "Ooh, my gums hurt. Who's having a gum problem?" Obviously, it's him
Right.
growing teeth.
But I don't even think. I should logically try to figure out what it is first, right?
Mhm.
But my mouth just opens and starts saying, "Oh, somebody's got an issue. We need to fix it."
Oh, well, I mean, if it's
Or mention it, not
if
fix
it's
it.
me too, like somebody
Right.
if it was somebody coming into your house that you've never met before, then, you know, maybe be like, I don't know. I don't know.
It
Maybe you'd
depends
feel
on
that then
how I
too.
probably would say something if it was bothering me because if I don't say it, it stays with me.
Oh, you have to say it then.
Yeah. I don't want to walk around sick all day.
Oh.
I guess I could say what I told you to do before is just to walk away and say, is this really mine or is it not?
Mm,
And then I guess I could be okay with it. Or I
yeah.
could argue and say, I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to visit here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Now, talking about being a hairdresser and being a feeler, those are modalities of yours. Now, you have a friend who does psychometry, right?
yeah, I have a friend that, well, I don't know if she's doing it anymore. I haven't talked to her in a long
Mm,
time, but man, she could pick up a piece of pick up keys, pick up jewelry, pick up earrings, watch, whatever. And the
mhm,
stuff that would come out. One
mhm.
time she had told me that there was some stomach issues that I was having when I first met her. And
Yeah.
I had already had a surgery. And so I already knew that the issue is fixed. So to be honest, that was probably the first time I ever met her. And I thought, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Mm,
But for the sake of my mind not wandering, I went to the doctors and said I've had symptoms. I lied. And it had the surgery I had come undone.
oh,
So I had to have the surgery again. She was
wow.
right. She was right.
Mm,
So, but she doesn't get it like in an illness. She was getting it just like there was something not right in this area.
I see. I
Right.
see.
Mhm.
And just to clarify for those who aren't familiar, psychometry is when a person touches an object and gets information from the object.
Right. Keys,
Mhm,
jewelry, whatever.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some really good touching things. Those ones, yeah. I tried that the other day. I had 2 pieces of jewelry in my hand after a reading because it came up in the reading, and both of the sisters had the same thing that I was talking about. They pulled them out of hiding, and
Mhm.
I wanted at the end, we weren't reading anymore, but I wanted to hold them both, and I could really feel the deep emotion and the gratitude that these people had these things. And I
Mm.
just started crying, and I said, "Oh, oh, oh, you can have these back. Oh, I don't want to touch those." It wasn't bad. It's just I didn't want to go there
Oh,
again.
you're like, "Don't make me cry. Don't make me
Right.
cry this time."
Right. But it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
No,
That was
that's
cool because
nice.
it's not, it's just like I don't have all the modalities, but I do.
Mm,
I just don't practice them. But so now I say,
yeah,
oh well, my this is my one, and the rest of them are coming. They're coming. They
yeah.
come when they are needed. So I try to use the positive out there.
I mean, honestly, I really miss having a development group
Mm,
because you would practice these things kind of on a regular basis and there's hosts and different people come up with ideas of different things to
mhm.
practice and doing it as a group, I
Right.
think was really, really fun. So I do miss that.
Yeah. My schedule would not allow that. I do,
Mine wouldn't either.
yeah,
I
my
wish it
schedule would not.
would
Mm-mm.
someday.
Meditation's probably the closest one I get to, which
Yeah.
is that I have a few people over and we meditate, and then we do a psychic exercise, whether it's cards or pendulums or
Mhm.
pictures or what's in the bag. I always do something, but to be honest, life is busy.
Yeah, life is busy. Life is busy. Let's see. Oh, there isn't a Claire I know of that this necessarily works for, but I heard you talk about temperature changes that you get when you're receiving information, and I thought it was interesting in case this happens to anyone else.
Yeah, that's kind of my little thing to the peeps, like I call them my peeps. And I say that there's one thing that they physically can't give me as an illness, and that would be hot flashes.
Mhm.
Because when I get really hot when someone's been cremated, or it's my
Mm.
sign that they are hot flashing. But why would I even need to know that? I don't know. But it does, but it validates it. So yes, when somebody's either, or oh, one time I got it and it was neither of those things. It was
Mhm.
that they were doing a cleanse of some sort that was using maybe niacin,
Mm.
and I don't know, I think that's something that makes you warm, hot, when it
Oh,
happens. It
okay.
makes you like flush. It's flushing.
Gotcha.
And they said no, they were too young to hot flash, and their person was buried, and but they had just started a cleanse, and they thought it was weird that I would pick up that they were getting bouts of hot flashes, but they didn't even know what it was. But come to find out, it was this pill.
I see. But it's just something physical that was happening with them. So it makes sense that you would pick up on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Let's see. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure that I went over temperature changes. And then this is kind of moving on from the Claires, but I was interested in what you thought about. There's like so many movies that have mystery schools, or not even
Yeah.
mystery schools, but schools where people are practicing, like spiritual things, or even in oh my gosh, I'm so silly. I can't think of the movie right now that has like all the schools where it's like people who have special abilities.
Oh,
Like,
like the X-Men.
yes, X-Men, that's what I'm thinking about. So,
Ah,
because
yeah.
there's so many things like that, do you think there really are schools like that? Like that maybe we don't know about?
That we don't know about. I do know that there's schools that teach us to practice all these things that we're talking about.
Mhm,
Um, they do. I think it's open to everything. Yeah, I do, because there's one in England,
mhm,
and it's Arthur Findlay
mm,
School, and it closed down during COVID, but it's my bucket list to one day go there for a week long of picking out some of these amazing teachers over there,
mm,
and going there. I
yeah,
call it Hogwarts School, but it's not Hogwarts. It's very respectable. They're very together. There's no bad about it at all, I think.
mhm,
But yes, I do. But I often think about that, how many things that we don't know, that people are reading minds or doing this or doing that. And I think
mhm.
in life, anything is possible.
Yeah, I know, it's
Anything is
so fun to
possible.
think about. I watched a video about some community in Italy where it's a whole spiritual community, and they do everything based like on what their dreams are. So like for example, one person had a dream that his house would follow the sun every day. And so they built this house, or he built this house with other people in the community that's like a little bit off the ground, and it's made in such a way that it physically moves all day long and follows the sun. And then another person's dream was to live in the forest, in like a little tree house that has a bunch of trees that go through the house. And so they built that house, and the
Wow.
whole community is just about like, what do you love, what makes you happy, how do you be connected with nature and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it because it's some long name, but I'm sure if somebody searched Italian spiritual community, it comes right up, because I've done that before and it's really interesting. I'd like to go
Wow.
there.
I'd never heard of that.
It was the first time I ever heard of it, and they built this like whole underground area where they can go in, and they have all these rooms. It's a big community center, and it is like spectacular. It reminds me of things that I've dreamt about before, which
Right.
actually reminds me, I have in my dreams gone to classes, lots of different
Right.
classes, almost like I have like a little school. I wouldn't call it a mystery school, but a school that I go to with the same people, because I recognize people in my classes that I go to, and we learn the weirdest things in the classes. Like just to give you a quick
Hmm.
example, one of the lessons we had was we were all sitting in chairs in a classroom type setting,
Hmm.
and I wasn't sure what we were learning, but what happened was people were coming towards us that looked normal, but as they got closer and closer to us, they were not. They were like monsters and creepy people. And our lesson was to be able to recognize that they weren't normal, like to be able to see that these people who seemingly looked like a regular person, that they weren't. And they got creepier and creepier the closer they got to you. And I remember I hid under my chair and I was like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
That's kind of like Men in Black, right?
What part? I don't remember
Well,
that.
they're like camouflaged to look like we do, like human like, but
Oh,
then
right,
they're a
right.
monster with 4 eyes, or they have 10
Mhm,
arms, or
mhm.
and there's one like in Percy Jackson, there's this guy that everybody that comes in for coffee sees this man just pouring coffees, but in
Mhm.
reality he has 6 arms, and that's why they call him the fastest guy.
I
and
see.
and only
Mhm,
people like what you see. It's kind of
mhm.
like you have what's the name of that movie that JJ watches all the time, and they have to take a magnifying glass, so to speak, and then look through it and you would see it, but your eye
I
in
see.
your school, in your dream, in your school, is showing you that you can decipher between those people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when I'm like, we don't have cable, but David watches sports and the commercials and stuff will be on. And so
Mhm.
I'll see commercials and things, and I see like some news and stuff, local news that will come on. And the longer I stare at whoever's on the screen,
Mhm.
sometimes, depending on the person, the longer I look at them, like suddenly their eyebrows will start to look like pointy, their hair like looks like it's red, or I start to see creepy stuff behind them. It's like they just slowly morph
Mark.
into something else. And like the person sitting next to them will be exactly the same as they were. They haven't changed at all. And so it's like, ooh,
Interesting.
yeah, it's really creepy. I don't know what that is, but
That's you being artistic. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Like maybe I'm seeing what they really look like, right? Or maybe what's inside. I don't know because it's not everybody. It's only certain
Right.
ones,
That's
but
interesting.
it's
That's perfect.
interesting. Anyways, we next week is our Christmas show, and we're going to be going over grief and just coping through the holidays. And it's a tough time for everybody. It's a time to celebrate, but it's also a time we think about our loved ones that aren't here anymore. And so want to talk about ways to honor them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I definitely do a lot of honoring over here.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like to hear about how you do that.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
So we are at our famous almost 46 minutes.
yep.
So I guess it's time to say goodbye. Before we go, in the hustle, the bustle, and everything else, please take time for yourselves. It's like crazy today. Real quick before I go there, today I had a really bad day. Remember, you talked about having a bad day and going into the store? I got everything off today, off today, off today. And then on my way out, I was running behind. I didn't get to do anything that I wanted to do in the order that I needed to do them because I'm in a hurry. So
Yeah.
I turned around and I switched it. So the reason why I want to say this before we go is because I called my husband complaining. I didn't get to go here first. I didn't get to go there first. And now I got to go here. And now I'm not going to get home. And then I have to do blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, thanks for listening. I was just venting. I love you. Goodbye. And I hung up. And then from that moment on, I don't know where or how or what happened, but I just kind of said, no, you're going to do it all. And you're not going to have a line at the post office, and you're not going to have a late for your acupuncture appointment. And you're going to be able to get to the store, and you're going to be, everything's going to go smooth as gravy. Everything's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Right. Do you
Hmm.
know I got into that post office and in and out? And when I got out, there was 12 people in line behind me out the
Wow.
door. And so we all get wrapped up. And I just want everybody to try to slow down, take a breath. And everything is crazy and expensive right now out there.
Hmm.
So before I said goodbye today, I wanted everybody just to please take some time for yourself and see the positive in all the things that are toppling down in front of you right now, and it'll get better. But from my heart to yours, I love you all and hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.